I can't believe we're already doing this, but we have to talk some injury news that might actually kind of impact the Miami Heat, specifically on Tyler Herro and Jaime Jaquez Jr., and it is just not good news to have to already be talking about this early in the season. And make sure you are following me over on Twitter because we're going to cover the Miami Heat on a daily basis. We're unable to go live today for the Heat's first preseason game, but I'll make sure you're updated with some highlights, news, the rumors that come out of that game over on my Twitter. We're on the road to 1,400 followers. Can we get there for Tyler Herro? What's that? We're 80 away. Go follow me at Nic_Rohloff. All right, the injury news relating to these two key players in the Miami Heat rotation are both groin injuries. After the red, white, and pink scrimmage game last night that Tyler Herro and Triple J did not take part in, Erik Spoelstra said that they're both day-to-day. And Jaquez actually had an MRI on the groin strain, did not reveal anything serious. Herro did not need an MRI. And then that the two of them will miss the preseason opener tonight. But the hope is that both Jaquez and Herro will be back soon. You obviously see Richardson's name in there, but we know he's probably not playing at all in the preseason and might miss the first week or two of the regular season. But my question is, how are we already dealing with this? We had training camp, and now we already have to deal with groin injuries to Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Tyler Herro. And by the way, groin injuries are not nothing to play with. They are very, I wouldn't say serious to where like they'll keep you out for a very long time, but they can kind of nag you and hang around. It's very... It's almost like a hamstring. It's just like if you don't really let it get fully healed, it's just always going to be bothering you, be sore, maybe a little tense up on you at times. You have to really keep care of your body, and it stinks that we already have to deal with Triple J and Tyler Herro, two of probably the 5 most important players on this Heat team, already having to deal with a groin injury. Now, I will say this on a positive direction, though. Spoelstra downplayed the injuries and said that he expects them to both be back doing full contact work soon. So it does feel like they aren't going to miss any actual time. They might miss a couple preseason games tonight, the one on Thursday, but maybe they partake in the final 3 preseason games starting on Sunday, next Tuesday, and then I forget if it's Friday, the day after that. But the reason why I still think this is a little bit of a concerning thing to me. The Tyler Herro part, I'm actually going to throw that away because the fact that he didn't need an MRI tells me it's just very minor, and there's no reason to go push him out and throw him out there in a scrimmage. It's not necessary if he's actually feeling a little tender in that groin. But the Jaime Jaquez Jr. one does concern me because he had to get an MRI on it. So there was at least a little bit of a concern to demand an MRI. And the reason why it also does scare me a little bit, if you flash it back to January of this year when he was still a rookie, Jaime Jaquez Jr. missed a couple games in January with a groin injury. And listen, you might be able to coincide it with the groin injury, with hitting the rookie wall, because it was about 35, 40 games into the season. But Jaime Jaquez Jr. in the first half of the year was significantly better than the second half of the year. He was more efficient on the offensive end. He looked more explosive. And we know that he was having to deal with a groin injury before participating in the dunk contest last February. So the fact that he now has suffered another groin injury, now it's probably not going to be the same groin injury getting re-injured per se, but the fact that we might be seeing a pattern here with Jaime Jaquez Jr. and his groin injuries, that is the part that concerns me because he is the 5th most important player on this team this year. And if he's able to take a second-year leap and improve as a three-point shooter, average 15 points a game, and become an above-average defender like it looks like he can, that's how this Heat team is able to get out of the play-in into the top 6 and make a postseason run by big-time jumps and accelerations in their development from Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic. But we won't really talk about Jovic on today's show. But be honest with me, are you concerned about the 2 injuries? Type Y for yes, type N for no. It is today's pinned comment, so if you get hit with a YouTube ad break, let it play, scroll down, and answer today's question. Okay, before we move on, because I do want to talk about the red, white, pink scrimmage game, I do want to get this out in the open when it comes to these 2 guys. Even though they're injured, I think it's very important that the 2 of them play in at least 1 preseason game. Preseason's lasting these 2 weeks, starting tonight, running through, I think, next Friday before the season begins on October 23rd, which is also 15 days away. Today's the 8th, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. But the reason why I think it's important for them to play in one of these games is because, well, they haven't seen actual live action. Well, Jaime did it in Summer League in June and July. Tyler hasn't seen it since April. So it would be good for them to at least be on the court in a real competitive area. I know they compete in practice, and arguably the practices are more, I guess I should say, more anxious. I don't know. I can't fucking find the word. I'm absolutely losing it right now. But it's more competitive, what you might say, than the preseason game. So we'd like to still see them go out there and play in the preseason. All right, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because, like I said, we are unable to do a watch party for tonight's game due to other obligations here at Chat Sports, but we will be live on Thursday for the Heat's second preseason game. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you join us because we're going to cover the Miami Heat better than anyone else here during the season. All right, let's move on here and get to the takeaways from the Heat scrimmage in the red, white, and pink game. And I know, it's not a really competitive scrimmage, and it's kind of like hard to really take crazy takeaways from it. But I do think there are some things that should be shared to the Heat fans if you were not able to see, go watch in person, or read about it online. The number one thing I do want to talk about doesn't really have to do with the scrimmage, but it does have to do with the Heat organization. Pat Riley Court. What do I mean by that? Well, the Miami Heat actually announced yesterday before the scrimmage that they are naming the Heat's court to Pat Riley Court at the Kaseya Center. So, obviously, the name of the arena can change all the time, but it will now be Pat Riley Court, which I actually really do think is awesome, by the way, because here, think about this. He was the coach for this Heat team that won a championship, brought the first title to Miami, then goes into the front office, brings in Erik Spoelstra to be his successor, and brings in LeBron, brings in Chris Bosh, brings in Jimmy Butler, brings another 2 championships. Everything that this Heat organization has done historically is all tied to to Pat Riley. They should reward him. I know a lot of us call him Sleepy Pat, say he needs to wake up and make moves at the deadline in free agency and in the trades during the offseason. But he has done more for this organization that you can argue anyone ever will. So I like honoring him and having it always be Pat Riley Court. No matter what the name outside the arena says, we know we're playing in Pat Riley's house. All right, before we get into some other takeaways here, we are sponsored by Prize Picks, and with the basketball season returning, you need to get started with the #1 daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an insurance injury policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup alive. And sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season and with basketball season starting up. Which players are going off? Which players aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. And I did a season-long projection myself for the basketball season starting up here soon. I got more than our guy Bam Adebayo, 9.9 rebounds per game, more than Jalen Brunson, 6.8 assists per game, and then less than Zachary Sachet, 10.2 points per game. It's a 3-player entry to win 5 times my money, but you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks right now. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Like I said earlier, you don't even need to win to get the $50. It's guaranteed. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. That link and code is in the description and comments of the video. All right, takeaway number 2. Bam Adebayo, he might be a sniper, folks. And this could be the biggest thing. And honestly, if we're going to be honest here, Bam Adebayo becoming a above average 3-point shooter or an even average 3-point shooter on decent volume could be a franchise altering thing. I'm being serious when I say franchise altering, because if he's able to incorporate a 3-ball with his defensive prowess, his athleticism around the rim, his mid-range touch, his ability to play make as well, we're now going to be talking about someone who can average 24, 25 a night if he shoots a 3-ball like 3 times a night and shoots 35, 38% and anywhere in between there. Like, we're talking about someone averaging 25 and 10 and is able to be the best defender on the floor at all times as well. This is someone who could be a top 10, top 12 player in the entire NBA. And the reason why I say this is because he made 5 threes last night. He actually started 5 of 7, missed his final 4, finished 5 of 11 from deep. And I know it's a scrimmage, but when watching the highlights, and I recommend you go on Twitter, I tweeted out a couple highlights as well. That's why I said to go follow me earlier. But like, his shot release looks clean. It looks more natural. He's able to get it into his hands and out of his hands much quicker. And it looks like someone who actually shoots threes since the day he was born, rather than just trying to pick it up over the past 6 seasons since being in the NBA. And I actually do believe he will average 3 shots from deep a night this year, which is absolutely massive, because if you're able to really space the defense and make them guard you on the perimeter, we talked about this the other day. When you have him, Jovic, you could have a 5-wide offense, 5 out, I should say, which allows Jimmy, Tyler, Terry to get to the rim and not see that much opposition in contesting at the restricted area, because the Heat were one of the worst teams in the NBA in terms of finishing in the restricted area. They were bottom 10 in volume. They were bottom 10 in field goal percentage. But if Bam's no longer clogging up the paint, then guess what? There's going to be more room for them to finish, and they'll be a more efficient team around the rim. All right, make sure you are subscribed. Like I said earlier, we're dropping videos every day. Watch parties are returning. We're 173 away from 14K. Hit that sub button. We're almost there, folks. Let's do it. All right, let's talk about the second-round pick, Larson, because he impressed us a lot yesterday. And I know it's a scrimmage and the defense isn't there, but he played extremely well in that scrimmage. 21 points, 9 assists, 10 of 16 shooting. Obviously, made only 1 3, 9 shots inside the arc. Larson is someone that I think is going to play a role this year. And regardless of the stats, it's all about what Erik Spoelstra believes and what he sees in the young man. And after the game, he was asked about Larson, and he specifically said he's a plug-and-play player, which means I don't really think he is going to see a big-time role when the Heat are fully healthy. When there's nobody out of the lineup and the Heat have their full active 14-man roster healthy, I don't think Larson plays, because I think he's the 12th or 13th man, maybe slightly ahead of Kevin Love, and he's definitely ahead of Thomas Bryant. But with Josh Richardson out, if an injury happens to Alec Burks, an injury happens to Duncan Robinson, happens to a Tyler Herro, Terry Rozier, I think you will see Larson step up and play. He can play the 2. He can play the 3. Can't play the 1, and I don't think he can play the 4, but he's a 2-3 kind of combination guy where he's too small but can play an undersized 3, but is a perfect 2. He can defend. He's a high IQ player, just does the little things correctly, which is what Miami Heat players are supposed to be doing, and that's why Pat Riley and Erik Spoelstra have such a keen eye for talent and guys who do the little things correctly. Larson will see opportunities this season. Won't have a big role, but when people are out, he'll be able to step in and keep the ship afloat. How excited are you for the second-round pick out of Arizona? Scale of 1 to 10 for me. The Heat had the 43rd pick. They traded back with the Hawks 1 spot to grab Larson. We always will have my sweet prince Nikola Dursic, but Larson does look like a really good player. Final takeaway from the scrimmage. Drew Smith is keeping it two-way. And I said this on yesterday's show in the training camp winners and losers, because I had Drew Smith as a winner. And when you look at what happened in training camp, when you looked at what happened at the scrimmage yesterday, it is hard for me to come up here and tell you anything different than Drew Smith might be the backup point guard for this team. I think he's ultimately going to keep his two-way contract, and I ultimately believe he's going to be on this roster and be a contributor right away as a point of attack defender and backup point guard, because Miami simply doesn't have a true backup point guard right now. And this is not me discrediting Isaiah Stevens, because if you were with us in the summer during Summer League, there's no one who liked Isaiah Stevens more than me. The UDFA out of Colorado State was terrific. He averaged 10 points, nearly 10 assists a game in the Summer League period of the offseason, and also shot 40% from 3. He's undersized, but he's smart, he's a decent defender, and he knows where to go with the basketball and is a really good playmaker. But the Heat clearly like Drew Smith. And I know a lot of people don't like Drew Smith. I've been very negative on Drew Smith in the past, but listen, I'm gonna support Drew Smith even though I prefer Isaiah Stevens, because coming off that knee injury last year. I think he's ultimately going to have a role this season. You can be upset about that, but I'm just telling you how I think it's going to be, and we'll see how he ultimately performs this year. All right, I'll do it for today's video. Make sure you are following me over on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff, Twitter/X, whatever you say, because we're talking about the Heat every day. We'll have you covered before we even come out here and make a video. If any news or rumors drops, I'll tweet about it before breaking it down on YouTube. So go give me a follow over on X.